You know how sometimes you just want to get up to speed on something important, but digging through everything is, well, it's a lot.
Yeah, information overload is real. Takes too much time.
Exactly. So, welcome to the deep dive. We do the heavy lifting, cut through the noise for you.
And today we've tackled Ben Horowitz's The Hard Thing About Hard Things. It's pretty foundational stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
Think of this as your inside track to what it really takes to build and run a company. The messy parts.
Right. Not just the success stories you always hear. Our mission here is to pull out the practical, usable insights Horowitz offers about leadership, tough calls, the stuff that often gets left out.
So, if you're ready to get past the highlight reel, let's dive in.
Okay, so first up, a huge theme in the book is what Horowitz calls the struggle.
Ah, yes, the struggle with a capital S.
He's incredibly direct about how fundamentally hard and frankly painful building a business is. No sugarcoating.
None at all. He has this quote. It's something like, every great entrepreneur from Steve Jobs to Mark Zuckerberg went through the struggle. So you are not alone.
Right, but then he adds the crucial bit.
Yeah, but that does not mean that you will make it. You may not make it. That is why it is the struggle. Oof.
It's stark, isn't it? But he also talks about how to deal with it. He stresses sharing the burden, with your team.
Even the really scary stuff, the existential threats.
Exactly. He learned that at Opsware.
Oh, right, when they were losing deals left and right.
Yeah. Instead of hiding it, he called an all-hands meeting. Just laid it out there.
What did he say again? Something like,
Pretty much. We're getting our asses kicked, and if we don't fix this, we're going to die.
wow. And the team's reaction?
Apparently, nobody blinked. They just rallied, built what was needed, and saved the company. Saved him, as he puts it.
It really shows the power of being straight with people, even when it's terrifying news.
Absolutely. Trust. And it lets people help solve the problem,
Yeah.
which ties into another point he makes. This analogy.
The checkers versus chess thing.
That's the one. This is not checkers. This is motherfucking chess.
Huh. Classic Horowitz.
It's his way of saying tech businesses are complex. Checkers is simple. Few moves. Chess. That's intricate. Long-term strategy. Multiple pieces interacting. Like running a company.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's dig deeper into that transparency idea. Telling it like it is. Why is that so non-negotiable for him as a CEO?
Well, he gives basically three main reasons.
Sure.
First, like I said, trust. People need to believe you're giving them the real story.
Okay, trust. What else?
Second, it just helps solve problems faster. If issues are out in the open, more people can work on them, like that Opsware example.
Right, collective brain power. And the third?
It sets the tone for the whole company culture. If the CEO is direct and honest, others are more likely to be too.
That flows down through the whole organization.
Especially in really tough situations, like layoffs.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't avoid that topic. He's very clear that managers need to handle layoffs for their own teams.
Yes. And he points out something critical.
Yeah.
People remember everything about that day. How it was handled reflects hugely on the manager and the company for years to come.
It's about respect, even in the worst moments. Which I guess applies to other hard decisions too, like demoting a friend who's been loyal.
Oh, for sure. That's a nightmare scenario for many founders.
Yeah.
But he has practical advice.
Like what? How do you even approach that?
Be direct. Use clear language. I've decided. No waffling. And admit the reality. Maybe the rollout grew them. Maybe you as CEO are still learning too.
Acknowledge that shared vulnerability.
Kind of. And definitely acknowledge their past contributions. Maybe even offer more money at a different role. The key is honesty, but also fairness and valuing that relationship. Find another spot if you can.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about bringing people in, hiring executives?
Horowitz has a very specific take. It's not just, do I like this person? Or, a vague culture fit.
Right. He says you need clear criteria. Are they actually world-class operationally?
Exactly. Will they add strategic value?
Yeah.
And crucially, will they be an effective team member? Not necessarily the most popular, but effective.
That's a key distinction, effective versus liked.
It really is. And he believes the CEO must do the final reference checks, personally.
Both kinds. The ones the candidate gives you.
Yeah, the front door ones.
Yeah.
But also the backdoor references, talking to people who know them but weren't listed.
To get the unvarnished truth measured against those criteria you set.
Precisely. It's rigorous. And that thinking extends to managing people already inside, too. Like his whole good product managers, bad product manager breakdown.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. What's the core difference again?
Ownership, really. Good PMs take full responsibility for the plan and getting it done. No excuses.
And bad PMs.
Always have reasons why it's not working. Not enough budget, engineers aren't good enough, market timing.
Yeah.
Always something else.
They blame others instead of owning the outcome.
And they focus differently. Good PMs own the what, the vision, the requirements. Bad PMs often get lost in the how, the technical weeds, and make excuses about the what.
Clarity of roles again. Seems vital. He also mentioned something about employee misinterpretations, making problems worse, like that hockey stick quarter thing.
The nonlinear quarter, yeah, where like 90% of the business comes in the last day. Super stressful, hard to plan around.
Been there.
Right. And he points out that if employees misunderstand why managers are doing certain things, even well-intentioned things, it can just add fuel to the fire, creates anxiety.
Let's talk about some of those crises he navigated. The EDS situation sounds harrowing. 60 days to live.
It was absolutely make or break. EDS was 90% of their revenue. 90%. And they were about to pull the plug.
Losing them meant game over.
Pretty much. The situation looked bleak. EDS's setup was a mess. Their team wasn't motivated. OpsWare's product had issues.
So what did she do? Just accept it?
No way. He told his team, very bluntly, this is not a scenario where an excuse will do. If EDS drops us, we're fucked and it's over. That kind of directness again.
Setting the stakes incredibly high.
Exactly. And then there was that weird anecdote. The EDS exec, Frank.
The guy who wanted the longest possible airport layover.
Yeah. Turned out he just liked the airport bar. Seems random, right? But it led one of Horowitz's guys, Anthony, to dig deeper and find this overlooked angle with another product, Tangram.
Ah, so focusing on the value Tangram already provided within EDS's chaos.
Bingo. That insight saved the entire account. Shows you need to look for opportunities everywhere.
Wow. And the crises kept coming, didn't they? Selling the cloud business. That sounds like another huge pivot.
Huge. And he credits John O'Farrell heavily there. Describes him as this master negotiator you'd want on your side forever.
Having the right people in those high-stakes moments is critical.
Absolutely. Then after that sale, the stock tanks.
Yeah.
And he has to basically repitch the company's future to the remaining employees.
At that offsite in Santa Cruz?
Yeah, he was brutally honest again. Said if you're not bought into the new plan, you should quit. Right now.
Seriously? Did anyone?
2 people did. Right then and there. But for the rest, that honesty seemed to, galvanize them. Radical transparency, even with bad news.
It takes guts. Reminds me of that Mark Andreessen quote he shared from a rough road show.
Oh, the darkest before they go completely black one?
Yeah. So bleak, but also kind of darkly funny. Captures that feeling of being deep in the struggle.
He really does. Which brings us nicely to company culture. Horowitz sees it differently than just, books and snacks.
Right. It's not just values on a poster. For him, it's about what makes your company distinct.
Distinct from competitors, yeah. And ensuring the important operating values actually stick. And helping you find people who genuinely fit the mission.
He used that Andreessen Horowitz example, didn't he? The fine for being late.
The $10 a minute fine for being late to meetings with entrepreneurs. It's small, but it sends a powerful message about respecting founders' time. That is the culture in action.
It's about embedding values in actual behavior. He also warns about certain types of people, right? The smart butt types.
Yeah, the smart jerk's toxic. The heretics always trying to undermine things. And the flakes just unreliable. You have to deal with them.
Proactively. Can't let them poison the well. It all comes back to needing high standards everywhere. That PR analogy was great.
Oh yeah, the gangly, pimple-ridden teenage companies needing world-class PR.
Exactly. World-class PR people can turn chicken shit into chicken salad. That says it all. You need top talent in key roles.
You really do. Which leads to leadership itself. He talks about management debt. What's that about?
It's like technical debt, but for management. Letting bad practices build up over time. Short-term fixes that create long-term organizational problems.
Ah, okay. So you need to actively manage how you manage. And not just by the numbers either.
Right. He cautions against that. Says managing purely by numbers is like painting by numbers for amateurs. You lose the nuance, the qualitative stuff.
Interesting. And the CEO has to wear 2 hats. The 1 and the 2.
Yeah. The 1 makes the ultimate complex decisions, takes the final responsibility. The 2 is about organizing, executing, making things happen. CEOs often have to be both.
It sounds exhausting. And lonely.
He stresses that loneliness, especially in crisis. Getting good, unbiased advice is incredibly hard when you're at the top. You are all alone, he says.
Wow. Heavy. You also mentioned knowing when to sell.
Yeah, that's critical CEO skill too. Knowing the right time, the right reasons, like with Opsware eventually. It's another hard decision.
And that tension between accountability and creativity.
The accountability versus creativity paradox. You need people to deliver reliably, hit deadlines, but you also need them to innovate, take risks. Finding that balance is tough.
Okay, what about feedback? How does he think that should work?
He's very specific. Feedback needs to be authentic, genuinely well-intentioned, direct but not mean, and context aware. Know your audience.
So this doesn't feel personal.
Exactly. Feedback won't be personal in your company if you build the right culture. A culture where it's normal to talk about how individuals and the company itself can improve.
Makes sense. Open communication about shortcomings, not just successes.
Yeah. And finally, he kind of boils down the CEO job to three core things.
Okay, what are they?
First, know what to do. That's strategy, big decisions. Second, get the company to do what you want. That's building the organization, alignment.
And third,
Achieve the results. Deliver against your goals. Simple on paper, incredibly hard in reality. And he ties strategy and story together, right?
yeah, that's a great point. In good companies, the story and the strategy are the same thing. Your narrative, your vision should directly drive your actions.
So wrapping this up, the big picture from Horowitz is pretty clear. Building a company is brutally hard.
Way harder than most success stories let on. It's filled with struggle, crisis, impossible decisions, constant pressure.
And navigating it requires, well, radical honesty with your team, with yourself.
Yeah,
Hiring great people is non-negotiable.
absolutely. Managing them well, building a resilient culture, and just leading effectively through the chaos. It really does pull back the curtain,
It provides that dose of reality, doesn't it? Which is actually really valuable.
for sure. And maybe leaves us with a final question to think about. You start with this vision, right, this ideal, but then you hit the messy reality, the execution, the setbacks,
Yeah.
the hard things. So the question is, what kind of leader are you prepared to be when you're facing that,
Yeah.
when you're deep in the struggle?
That's a really good question to reflect on. Whether you're leading now or aspire to, what kind of leader will you be?